John Harbaugh.
Wow. This hurts you.
It hurts me. Look, I believe in you, John. I like you as a coach. I like your character and the culture you've built there. But I'm just going to keep it real. Y'all blowing it. All right? The Chiefs, Nick said it about the Bills. The Chiefs' offense isn't quite what it used to be. This is a time when maybe they're vulnerable, and you have a Hall of Fame quarterback and a Hall of Fame running back in their primes. And you guys continue to beat yourselves. You're 7-4 largely because you're beating yourselves. Aren't you tired of hearing people say the only team that can beat the Ravens is the Ravens?
Yeah.
All right? Because if it's not penalties, you guys lead the league in penalties, a lot of them untimely, a lot of them unforced, then it is this strange offensive strategies. All right, and I get it. Sometimes the game goes a certain way and you can't give it to the running back as quite as much. I do get that somewhat, but I think you guys need to go into games thinking Derrick Henry's going to get it 18 to 25 times. And at the very least, when you're on the goal line, have him be in the backfield, even if you don't give him the ball, even if he's just a decoy. Use Derrick Henry more. And look, I'll give you credit. You're trying with the defense. You made some changes in the starting defensive backfield lineup. You went out, got Trey White. You got Desmond King. I don't know what he'll do, but you're trying. All right? So, and he showed improvement last week. So, John, I believe in you.
John, I don't know how much I believe in you. This is your first video. You're probably going to maybe paint me as like a Baltimore Ravens hater or something like that. I've defended them and have praised them and defended Lamar and all of that. I think I'm officially just move on from Harbaugh person at this point. Do you guys realize that Harbaugh has nearly identical like career record, resume even, as Mike McCarthy? Playoff record, wins, Super Bowl, regular season. It's nearly identical. Nearly identical. And yet everyone always makes fun of McCarthy, says he's not that good, etc., etc. And yet John Harbaugh gets a lot of the benefit of the doubt. And I think I was furious how things unfolded last season and how they approached the playoffs. And I ripped Harbaugh for that. And then the way how you see this season, it's just too indefensible. And ironically, both of these teams, both Harbaugh and McCarthy, have a lot of penalties. Their teams are always up there with most penalties. And right now, the Ravens are leading the league in penalties, total like just total penalties called, as well as the yards because of it. And it's indefensible. It's truly indefensible. And some people want to come back and say, well, McCarthy had Aaron Rodgers. And it's like, well, one, it seems to me that Aaron Rodgers is probably pretty difficult to be the coach of. Yeah, he's great, but he's obviously not the easiest person to be with. McCarthy won during a defensive era. Colin Cowherd just made a whole video about Andy Reid winning in a defensive era. And Mike McCarthy is an offensive head coach. And John Harbaugh was able to win with Flacco, but again, during a defensive era for the most part, before all these rules really changed to kind of de-emphasize defense a bit. And now it's like, he's got Lamar Jackson. Even if we want to say, because there's still that debate, and this is not the point of this debate, I've already talked about this plenty. Even if we want to say that Lamar Jackson is not like the best quarterback in the NFL, the second best quarterback, right? There seems to always be that debate. There's some people that say he's better than Mahomes. A lot of people, I would say, most people say that he's like right under Mahomes or top 3, top 4, whatever it may be. We don't even have to get into that, right? We don't have to say like, who would you rather have? Joe Burrow, Josh Allen? It doesn't even matter. What we do know without a shadow of a doubt, that Lamar Jackson is a top quarterback in the NFL, okay? Whether you want to like debate whether he's 2, 3, 1, it doesn't matter. We know that he is a top level quarterback. That can't be argued. Even if he makes some mistakes here, even if he does this and that, it can't be argued. So it is indefensible to not have more success. And no, I do not blame Lamar Jackson. I do not blame him for the lack of success. I just don't. I used to flirt with that a little bit, but I really am away from it. I just think what they do, how they approach these games, the way they're prepared. Because now Bruce said, oh, they have a great, culture there. I'm not so sure anymore. Honestly, what is the culture? To get in fights with other teams in big moments like they did with the Chiefs, like they did with the Steelers? Does that mean that they're tough? Or does it mean that you're actually hurting your team because now you're getting misconduct penalties, unnecessary roughness penalties that are harming your ability to win games? It's one thing if you did it and you were still winning, because then it's like, that's right. We ride that edge. But it's hurting your team. It's a huge reason why you lost against the Kansas City Chiefs last year. So I don't know, what's the culture then? What is this great culture that you're even talking about? And to be clear, I hold the Ravens up with high regard. High regard. I think they have been one of the best run franchises of the last 20 plus years. They have the second or third best playoff wins since 2000. So again, I hold them up to high regard, which is why my expectations for them are high. If you're going to be that high up, then you need to perform better. You can't have seasons like this. Because if you were better prepared, if you did have a little bit better and a more organized culture, you could have won a Super Bowl or two with Lamar Jackson now. So the fact that you haven't, it does fall on the Ravens. The fact that the Ravens did not win a Super Bowl last year is 100% on themselves, and Harbaugh is the head coach and deserves a tremendous amount of blame. This season has been wildly inconsistent. That can't be debated. You could be the biggest Baltimore Ravens fan. This season has been wildly inconsistent. And in multiple games, the Ravens looked like they were not ready to play. That is 100% on Harbaugh. 100%. This defense, Harbaugh. So I just Harbaugh deserves to be on the bud list every single week. I mean, he should be on the hot seat. That's what's so crazy to me. We talk about Mike McCarthy being on the hot seat. Mike McCarthy. We have all these things. Nick Sirianni, hot seat. Should he be fired? Should he not? What's going on? Yet nobody talks about Harbaugh. There's no real honest conversations in any of the media about, hey, is Harbaugh on the hot seat? Harbaugh to blame for this loss? They talk about Dan Campbell. They talk about all of these other coaches for making mistakes, for having problems. You better believe that if it was Nick Sirianni and the Philadelphia Eagles, if they had 12 penalties and lost to the Commanders, let's say, right, because another divisional game, they would rip Nick Sirianni, rip him to shreds, and say his team was not ready, he was ill-prepared, this is a divisional game. How do you have 12 penalties like that? How do you have virtually the same number of penalties as Derrick Henry has carries? This is a disgrace. They need to fire him, and they need to get Bill Belichick in there. I mean, they've been doing that to Mike McCarthy as well. And they did it to Nick Sirianni earlier on in the season, especially after the Falcons loss and after the Bucs loss. But yet I hear crickets about Harbaugh when they come up short. It always falls on Lamar. And you can't tell me it's just because he won a Super Bowl a million years ago in a different era of football with literally different rules. There's been multiple rule changes in the NFL since Harbaugh won the Super Bowl. 3, 4 plus changes, concrete changes. And so, yeah, it is. It's what have you done for me lately? I'm not saying that Harbaugh is this trash, garbage, laughing stock of a coach. I'm not saying that. I'm not. And I know I'm coming in hard on here for this one. Yeah, I know. But it's one of those things where you have to hold people accountable. And that's why I'm so sick of every clip is constantly Lamar. And that's why I'm kudos to Brew for throwing Harbaugh out there. We need to have more discussions about this. Sean McDermott gets ripped for his issues with the Bills. Bill Belichick literally Bill Belichick. Literally Bill Belichick with the Patriots. Why does Harbaugh come out unscathed? And again, it can't be Super Bowls because literally, what's his face has the most Super Bowls? Bill Belichick. Obviously. And yet he got ripped to shreds. They couldn't get him out of New England fast enough. So I would really love to hear from Baltimore Ravens fans, especially, like, does the local media rip Harbaugh? Do they hold Harbaugh's feet to the fire? Because I don't see it in the national media, and I don't have access to the local media. I would love to know the post-game shows that you guys watch, the radio shows, the news shows, or whatever their local, Baltimore news, sports stuff is. Like, does Harbaugh's feet get held to fire? Because I see it with the Cowboys. I see it with the Eagles. I saw it with the Patriots. See it with Doug Peterson in Jacksonville. You see it with all these other teams and coaches. The Chargers ex-coach before the other Harbaugh got there. Like, I need to know this right now, because I feel like I'm like going crazy with the lack of accountability for Harbaugh's lack of success. People are really holding on to that one Super Bowl win, which again is great. It's awesome to win a Super Bowl. I mean, like, it's more Super Bowls than I have, but it's like, that's not your get out of jail free card for the rest of your life. You don't get pulled over and say, officer, I did win a Super Bowl back in like 2013, 2012, whatever the year was at this point. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. Right away. You're by all means. Excuse me. Like, that's what it feels like, Harbaugh. And this team has been too good with too great of quarterback play to have some of these things that go wrong that are clearly a coaching issue. Like, that's to me what is very obvious. It's clearly coaching issues more than players choking or not having the right pieces or just playing a better team, because sometimes it's just a better team. That's not the case with what's been happening with the Ravens. And when good teams lose to bad teams, that's it's like 95% of the time coaching. It is. Unless you have a great team and some of the players are just living young and fast, right? They party, they go out, they get in trouble off the field, right? It's just one of those like, oh my God, we can't rein this team in. They're amazing, but it's a mess. Memphis Grizzlies, I'm looking at you. Like, that can happen. That's not the case with the Ravens. And if it is, then what culture are we talking about? Then where's the culture? It's a mess. But those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. What do you guys all think about the Baltimore Ravens and John Harbaugh being under duress? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single comment, so whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way, let's get in some discussions, let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I'd absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.